Good morning. This is Mark Sobowitz, and we are going to find out a lot more about a group called Resilient Souls. So stay tuned on A Clarion Voice. Hello there. It's Tuesday, December 5th, and 2023, in case you forgot what year it was. This is Mark Sobowitz on A Clarion Voice, and we hope that you're enjoying yourself this morning and that you've gotten all your Christmas shopping done and all that sort of stuff. And we're less than 3 weeks away from Christmas, folks, so the time is fleeting. But in any case, our time today is going to be taken by Resilient Souls. That's the name of the group that we're going to be talking about. And we have the pleasure of having Lisa Majors and Lydia Bowers with us to talk about a lot of things concerning Resilient Souls. Ladies, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All
Thank
right,
you for
very
having
good.
us.
First of all, I want to get the most recent promotion that's coming up this Friday, which is one of the reasons why you're here. So, Lisa, why don't you tell the people what we're talking about for this Friday?
Yeah. So in Paso Robles Park Cinemas, they've been very supportive of us. And we have the ability to show the film of Polar Express, and we will have Santa and Mrs. Claus there, and maybe a little elf. And we'll carols and food and fun. There'll be a silent auction and giveaways, uh, also raffles. And we're trying to raise money for survivors, caregiver moms, or other families surviving through the holidays and struggling with children. So it's a hard decision for mothers or caregivers to make between just the necessities of everyday monthly expenses and trying to bring Christmas to their children. So we're here to help.
Okay. Do you have any need of volunteers to help you?
Yes, we do. We had an opportunity to get about 4 pallets of food from a generous local donator, and so we're putting together care packages of just basic staples, and we're bringing that together. So we need volunteers to come and help with that, a day of putting together these packages, and we're also connecting with Coats for Kids and other agencies to help out with bringing these care packages together, to help with the food and just through the months coming.
Okay. If somebody wanted to volunteer, is there a contact number that I believe we have it right here? It's 833 322 1920.
Correct. Thank
Okay.
you.
And you can
Yes.
also, by the way, you can also contact Lisa and Resilient Souls through their website, which is resilientsouls.org.
Yes. Thank you.
So, if and we'll mention that again at the end, by the way. And so, what other things are we doing for the Christmas season in particular, besides the movie? I believe that there's some gathering of gifts and things like that. Is that correct? Or packages? Uh, what
Y-
other?
Well, we're with the food product that we're putting together those care packages, and we're hoping to donate. Last year we donated about $3,000 to different families, about 24 different family groups to help out with the cost. We also have we lost one of our resilient souls to fentanyl. We helped her about 2 years ago when she was deciding about what to do in her trafficking situation, and she was trying to get back to her children. And we just got notice of about 3 weeks ago that she passed away, and so we're trying to raise money also for the children there that are in the care of their grandmother and for the funeral costs too. So
Okay.
we're just that extra family, hopefully, in people's eyes, extended support in those times of needs.
Okay. Uh, Lydia is here because she has been supported by Resilient Souls and in many different ways. Lydia, why don't you tell us, how Resilient Souls is helping you out in your time of need?
Yes, as a survivor of sexual trauma and abuse, I was at a very, very low end of my life when I was introduced to Lisa. And it took me a year to sign up for her class and do the Mending the Soul workbook and book. I was too afraid. I was too ashamed. I was my 20 years ago was when I told people what had happened to me. And so this happened in 2020 when I joined the group.
Mhm.
And so a lot of mistrust of people, distrust of people, a lot of fear of opening up and wondering what people would think about me. And so there was a lot of holes in my heart. But one of the biggest things was that my faith and my trust in God had been compromised by the abuser, as far as he placed himself in God's position,
Mhm.
and through mind control and through brainwashing, I had a really, really rough time coming out of that. There was a time that I took off 2 years from even going to church. I couldn't even bear to hear the gospel preached or hear anything, because I had no idea what my relationship with God. But Resilient Souls was there for me. I joined the group, and it was one of the longer ones that they had. And gradually over time, I began to open up more, and I began to see that I wasn't alone. And that, I think, is the biggest thing. You feel like you are by yourself. You feel like you're the only one. And then when you realize that there's this room full of women that have experienced the same thing and going through this workbook, and they told me things I didn't know, that I didn't understand, that I didn't believe were true about myself and about the abuse. And so it was a really, really powerful experience for me. And I'm so glad I did it. Lisa has been there to, I was also involved in a lawsuit regarding the abuse, and Lisa was there to walk me through and to help me and to um, support me during that. And so I am very, very grateful to Resilient Souls and to the Mending the Souls workbook.
Let me ask you something though. How did you come to know about Resilient Souls? Did somebody refer the group to you, or?
Yes, yes. I learned it from my sister, who
Okay.
was going to the same church as Lisa. And she told me about it, and she gave me the packet and everything. And I said, no, I can't do it. So, but yeah, it was word of mouth. And I think that's typically
Mhm.
probably how word gets out. But things like this too is really helpful.
Right. Okay. Very good. Let me ask you a question, Lisa. I don't
Mhm.
know. We interviewed you about I don't know, a month or two ago, something like that, and we had three women who were here and gave their testimonies.
Yeah.
Might I ask how they're doing?
Yeah, they are doing well. They're continuing on their healing, making great, I think, better choices, and um, just continuing on, pressing on to healing. Um, Still staying strong. I think with coming alongside as a group and teaching that resiliency, we're giving them tools how to help them stay strong and make those better choices with that peer support, which is vitally important. And then they have healthier choices to make.
Mm.
We also help walk them through choices that they make that, you know, we wouldn't necessarily recommend, but we are there to follow it through and then to say how, you know, what did you learn from it? How did it work? And there to, because usually that is the best teacher too.
Is that what the Mending Souls
That's
course
our
teaches?
that's our mentor peer support
Okay.
that we do. We do training, trauma informed care training, with theologically sound, evidence based, psychologically wrap around the neuro change, how to walk alongside somebody and be a support to them in those times. It's an empowerment program. And so bringing them through to a new reality and their next step in healing. So we do training, we do mentoring, we do advocacy, and we train up facilitators to facilitate our Mending the Soul group. The
I
Mending
see.
the Soul group is more for learning about what is abuse, what is your abuse story, what's your trauma story, and breaking down something that is so overwhelming into little chunks of pieces that you're able to better digest and find the word about what happened. So they're putting these puzzle pieces together. And with that solidity of a solid story, they're able to call out what happened and prevent what is happening. And then we teach what neuro damage has happened and how to repair it with tools. So isolation is usually the first thing that we usually encounter. People want to stay isolated. They think it's safer.
Hmm.
Usually that's the most damaging thing they can do, but
Sure.
they don't, but it feels safe. And then the toxic shame that they have experienced, the toxic guilt usually attributed and fostered by the abusers or a community that doesn't understand that they're pushing that toxic shame on them because they don't understand trauma and how the abused are trying to survive, and they interpret that as just what would you say, just they see it as a negative and not
Yes.
recognizing the trauma that they're trying to walk through.
I'm curious about something because Lydia mentioned something about her faith and how she was doubting things, about God and whatever. Is that typical of a survivor that comes to you?
Yeah, PTS, when you face near death situations, earth shattering, your reality, your world has just been completely shattered. It brings you psychologically down to pass below, and you question, is it me? What is, you're facing evils that you may never even thought about. And how did this happen? Is this true? And where is goodness? Why is God doing this to me? And why
Hmm.
me? Am I being punished?
Hmm.
So those are like huge earth grounding basic questions that come up for all survivors. And what Resilient Souls, Mending the Souls program, we bring that whole spiritual, that whole faith platform open with a non-judgment, open platform to be able to explore and talk about those and wrestle them out. And we do not preach, we do not fix, we do not advise. We let them, through the program,
Okay.
slowly work those things through. And we don't push jumping somebody into forgiveness, which can be pretty damaging. You really have
Right.
to work through what is needing to be forgiven.
Okay.
And so that takes a lot of lament and assessing your loss, understanding what good and evil is and what abuse is and what isn't abusive, and really pinpointing that so you know when you get to that step of forgiveness, you're able to really honor that sacred process and not cheapen it.
I'm wondering about the education process,
Mhm.
understanding what it is that the women have gone through. do you find that people don't really understand what's going on with a person
Yeah.
that has gone through trafficking? Because Sound of Freedom brought out a little bit. The movie brought out a lot of information, not only from the movie's perspective, but
Yeah.
beyond that. And so I'm just wondering if a person like myself, for example, would want to be educated about what is going on. Are you open to doing that? To presenting that information, to other people like myself who are interested in finding out what's going on?
Yes, we have done. I've spoken out and talked about what sex trafficking is. There's so many dynamics. There's other places that you could also enhance the education on that because it's such a broad um, um, term. It's done so many different ways. And then, but we also focus on taking, understanding what grooming is. A lot of people don't even understand that entrapment, the tricking,
Hmm.
the mind game that happens, and how somebody can actually go into this ambivalence or surrender, understanding the trauma bond that happens. Um, for example, in Lydia's case, um, the the misunderstanding why she was still um, trauma bonded in that reality for such a long time.
Hmm.
And then there was actually 19 years about of the community that she was in, we're still victim blaming her. And the lack of compassion and the lack of curiosity to understand what happened. Why is that? And coming alongside her story and why did it take 19 years for them to even
Okay.
start addressing that?
Okay.
So people struggle with the misconceiving of what happens in abuse, in trauma,
Okay.
and
Lydia,
entrapment.
let me ask you a question, because I'm wondering, since it took such a long time for you to really identify, the trauma and want to resolve it, do people in your family or your friends and whatever, did they understand what was going on, or did they question why it took so long? Or
The people in my direct family have been, because I've been able to um, inform them with knowledge and all of this program and help them understand what happened. They are very supportive, very loving, very good. I have wonderful friends that are very supportive and loving and accept me. But there are definitely people that don't, and you just part ways with them
right. Okay.
and let it be.
Okay. Um, what specific ways has Resilient Souls helped you? I mean, aside from the fact that you're getting trying to get over the trauma of such a long period of time, is there something specific that's helped you in particular?
It has helped me to live with it, because I don't believe you get over it, but you learn to live with it, and you learn to see it from a different perspective. I don't see it as a child anymore. I see it as an adult, and so that has been incredible. Also, my relationship with God has um, that's God Himself reaching down and drawing me and helping me and loving me and changing me and helping all those scars and the brokenness inside of me. So um, I just thank God for His love for me, and that I can see those things much clearer. And my
Hmm.
heart goes out to people that are in the same position that I was in,
Right.
that feel that shame, feel that ugliness and that brokenness inside of them. I understand.
Okay. Lisa, what do you need at Resilient Souls? I mean, to expand the
Mhm.
information, because we've tried here on A Clarion Voice to bring this subject to the forefront,
Yeah.
by having yourself and Freedom Calling, Susan Carter or Freedom Calling
Mhm.
coming, and talking about that issue. But what do you need specifically?
Well, I so believe in the power of our program. It's been internationally proven over time. It's been used since 2005 in international Congo, and America. It's been hard to bring it here. The church has not been fully open to look at themselves or to embrace the program very easily, even though it's theologically sound. Um, it so we're looking for those open opportunities to speak about it, talk about it, and finding support sponsors to help us continue on with this program.
Okay.
Those that believe in the work we're doing, and it's wonderful to see and walk through with survivors that they are stepping into their fullness of themselves finally and blossoming. So I love the program. I know it's worth it.
Oh, I agree based on the, information that we've been able to get. But churches are not necessarily open.
Well, it's been interesting since 2015. Mending the Soul tried to put a push to get churches to hold the Mending the Soul groups. It's been only like less than 65% of the churches kind of shut down on it, because what it does, it talks about abuse, talks about spiritual abuse, it
Mhm.
talks about what abuse is, and some of those churches don't have had a hard time with grappling with those things, and for various reasons, just the unhealth of their own organization, or um, it bringing out stuff that they don't want to talk about. And so
Hmm.
it's been a venture
I
in
I can imagine.
and even in this one case, it's been very difficult to see how the church has kind of put up roadblocks into this good healing.
Wow, that blows me away because you would
Yeah.
think that there is compassion and love,
Yeah.
that should be evident, but and this is a problem that is, not, it's not new. It's been there for
Yeah.
a long
Right.
time, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That makes me
I think
mad.
we're in a
Mm.
changing spot. I think we're at a transition now that, the Presbyterian Church and other Catholic churches have opened up and started looking at themselves and seeing where the abuse encounters have happened. Net Grace has been a great agency to try to reach out to our communities across the nation and talk
Okay.
about what abuse is and how to prevent it even in your own community, because you could have a rogue leader that's doing this secretly and privately and trying to get away with it and covering up in your own organization. And there's some great safety protocols that can happen, and just great transparency guidelines to do to help keep an organization really healthy, a community healthy.
Okay. There was a program that you were talking to me about before we came on air, a
Yeah.
neurological program that you're tell people
Yeah.
what that's about.
I studied under John Townsend Institute for Leadership and Counseling, and working on a master's program. And one of the instructors, Scott Macon, now has branched out and done Macon Institute. They come alongside us, and we have 3 opportunities each month to interact with them, and they actually bring us to another training level. It's neuro change. It's training us how to be the best come alongsiders, the best listeners, attuners to those that really need it. It's amazing what neuroscience has done right now. God has really opened up that whole idea of us being able to see how trauma hits the brain, how abuse hits our bodies and our brain, and how to step into healing about it. We have evidence-based how to break through. What we saw was maybe people saying, bringing more attention to them because they're broken, and then us kind of being repelled of it. Now we could see how we could come alongside them and see the trauma response and because we were misreading that, and how to attune to them to where actually me coming alongside somebody else actually in a Christ-like way brings them to the healing. One of the examples is the woman at the well, how Jesus approached her and talked to her, the least of these,
Okay.
and didn't shame her or shut her down or make up one power up, or how Jesus met Peter on the shore with the fish and saying, "Feed my sheep."
Right.
Feed my lambs, how he approached it. And where neuroscience is able to help us see in a whole in-depth way of what those scriptures really did and how Jesus used that and knowledge of our brain and how our body reacts to different things. Now we could see clearly what he was truly bringing, the healing, the true neural healing that happens in the brain
Right.
and transforms one negative broken thought to another thought.
That's exciting. That's
Yeah.
really exciting to hear because, you provide a good deal of support in what you do now, but to advance it to that level is even better.
It's exciting, and
Yes.
we're so blessed to have Scott Macon and his group come alongside us and bring us to that level.
Very good. Besides the movie on Friday, what other fundraising events are you planning?
Well, and save the date, January 11th, we're going to show Sound of Freedom again at Park Cinemas, and we will have, we're reaching out to some experts to sit afterwards so we could really explore and talk about stuff that people are grappling with that movie.
Okay.
And understanding what sex trafficking is.
Okay, very good. Okay, folks. Remember that on Friday, December 7th, they're going to show Polar Express at the Park Cinemas here in Paso Robles. And if you want to volunteer for help, I'm going to grab my piece of paper here so I can remember the phone number. But please call 833-322-1920 if you would like to volunteer. And I'm sure that Lisa and the people connected with Resilient Souls will welcome your involvement. And also, I believe we have putting together some Christmas care packages, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, and we're looking next week. We'll be doing that.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, folks.
And remember the date, January 11th.
Right. Okay.
Sound
Very
of
good.
Freedom again.
And January 11th, they're going to re-show Sound of Freedom at the Park Cinemas. And if you haven't seen it, I would suggest that you go and watch it because it's a mind-blowing experience. And I sincerely hope that you have, if there is somebody out there that's watching this conversation today, I hope it resonates with them. Come forward. If you need help, come forward. Go to resilientsouls.org and find out about the group. Believe me, you will be helped. You will be supported. Just take a step forward if you choose to do that, because they can help you. And I said, anytime that we can promote this, we're going to do it, because I believe in these types of organizations. We've proven it in the past. So if you like this video, share it with somebody, please. And also, please visit my blog on clarionvoice.com. And then also hit the bell for future notifications about upcoming interviews and events here on Clarion Voice. And once again, Lisa and Lydia, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your heart.
Thank you.
And we welcome you back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Mark Sobowitz with a Clarion Voice.